Cody Rudd. I work at So Restaurant and Bar. Tonight we're going to be making duck confit with stir-fried farro, orange creme fraiche, and a salted cognac caramel. Confit takes quite a while. Basically all it means is you're cooking something in its own fat. So what we're doing, we're taking this raw duck, we're adding coriander seed, half a cup of brown sugar. We use a pretty healthy amount of kosher salt. We've also got 8 cloves of garlic. Just gonna throw those in there whole. It's not gonna hurt anything. 1 cinnamon stick. Duck fat. One thing I always try to remember when I'm doing duck confit or anything similar to this, not to add too much to it. Most of the flavor you get is gonna come from the fat that renders out, also the fat that you're adding in. Now a lot of people don't probably do this at home, but if you have a good enough saran wrap and a heavy duty foil, you can use plastic under the foil and it's just good for sealing in everything into the pan. Cook this at 280 degrees for about 4 hours, maybe 4.5. We're gonna get some water boiling here. And this will be what we blanch our farro with. Farro is basically a kind of grain. It's a lot like barley or oats, a lot more plump. It's got more of a bite to it. For the veg on our stir-fried farro, calls for a half an onion small diced, 1 stalk of celery, and 1 small carrot, all small diced, as well as 5 cloves of garlic. Make sure you're not jumping your knife all over the board. I see a lot of people who chop in all different directions. And a chef when I was younger reminded me to keep my knife really close to the board. It shouldn't have to come up off the board hardly at all. That way you've got really close strokes and not wasting your time moving your hand all over this board. If you have it to a good rolling boil, the grain or the rice, whatever you have to be blanching, it really shouldn't stick to the pan. But just to be safe, you always want to come back, because once it sticks and it scorches, it's going to affect the flavor of the rest of the grain in that pot. It's all going to taste bitter. So for creme fraiche, basically all it really consists of is cream in some sort of culture. In this case, buttermilk. There's natural lactic acid that causes the cream to react in a way that sours it, in other words. So imagine sour cream, but not so heavy of a taste as what you're used to. You've got 1 cup of heavy cream, 2 tablespoons of buttermilk, and the zest of half an orange. And over the course of the next 24 to 36 hours, it's going to culture and it's going to sour, in which case it thickens up and it takes on a flavor that you wouldn't have had before. So we're going to be making a salted cognac caramel. It's going to be the sauce that kind of ties this plate together. This recipe particularly calls for 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. So once that starts to melt and break down, we add in our butter. We mix that up. That's when you can actually start stirring it. But while it's just sugar in the pan, you just want to shake it. 1 tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of cognac, and 1/2 cup of cream. And once you get this kind of light amber color throughout the pan, you want to pull it off the heat. And you want to pull it off a little bit early because you have to remember it's still cooking. So now our cream goes in. I say about a tablespoon of cognac. I wouldn't put rich, sweet caramel all over my duck without some salt in there. That's the part that actually makes it appealing to me, is that salty sweet there at the end. What we're gonna do first is brown off all of our veggies. We got mirepoix and garlic. We got our veg and our garlic in here. We're gonna saute that down, get really good color on all of that. Go ahead and toss in our farro. And this is a lot like making fried rice. You're gonna want to let it sit enough to get an even, you want to hear that crackling sound. That means you're getting good color and a good cook on that farro. Just like making rice or anything else in this method. You don't want to stir it too much. You're gonna mush it all up. You want to kind of let it do its thing. As long as you hear that and you don't smell it burning, then you're doing the right thing. So we're gonna go down first, stir-fried farro. This is our orange creme fraiche. It's going to be almost a bitter note, though, in this dish particularly. We have duck confit with a stir-fried farro, orange creme fraiche, and salted cognac caramel. And that's your next course.